Hey there, Cherie Herne here. If you missed last week's class on how to make a driftwood heart, hanging heart, I'm going to tell you what you missed. So you have a top branch like this, and then you have all your sticks that you've gotten in your kit. So before we do anything else, we need to sand our sticks. And we want to sand them, let's see, I'll find what, here's a good one that's not sanded. So any places that I've cut pieces off, I want you to take the sandpaper and I want you to sand it. Make your sticks look nice. You know, this is a big project and you want it to look really good. So round those edges down. Also, you've got in your kit a rough piece of sandpaper. Take that rough piece of sandpaper and rub the stick, the corners of the stick. You want to take those edges off because driftwood doesn't come with sharp edges. And to make this, to use the straight pieces for this hanging heart, we have to cut them. So that's why they end up with a blunt edge. We don't want it to look blunt. So that's what we did in last week's class. We got that all ready. So once you have your sticks all sanded, you're going to put them on your template. But you have to be careful. You want to get the right ones in the right place because there's exact measurements. So you want to put them down and make sure on each stick there are little holes that we've drilled through them for you. And that's how we're going to hang them in the end. So you want to make sure that the holes go at the top and lay them on your template. And that is as far as we got last week because it took a long time to sand our branches. So stay tuned and you'll see what we do tonight. All right, let's see. Okay, hey there. So if you've sanded your sticks and they're all nice and smooth, you're going to make sure that the holes are at the top and you're going to lay them right on your template in the spaces that they go. Alrighty, get them all lined up. Mine have already been painted here, most of them, but you get them all lined up, and then once you do, then you are going to take your chalk like this, and you're gonna, where the dark part of the template is, let me show you a template. Let's see, well, on the template, the bottom part of the heart is darker. You're going to draw a line right where that dark part is on the thing. You're going to draw a line right across the sticks. So just a little mark, and that's going to tell you that you're going to paint below that mark. So from that mark down is where you're going to paint. And then once you get that all marked, you're going to take out some blue paint and some white paint. I already have these mixed here, but you're just going to mix, you're going to make a nice light color for the top. So you're going to mix some white and some light blue, and you can water it down a little bit so it's not too thick. I don't like it to go on too heavy, but you can. There's not really any rules. So once you do that, then you're just going to paint the bottom part of your sticks, that lighter color. So here's where I marked mine. So I'm going to just go like this, and I'm going to paint the whole bottom part. So paint that whole thing so it ends up like this. So that is how you're going to paint those to start the ombre. And once you get those painted, I'll show you. Let me just paint this little guy here so that he's done. And then when you get them all painted, you're going to take your darker color blue, which is your full blue, and I like to just use a little cup, so I always have some white and some blue that are 100% and not watered down or mixed together, just in case. And so you get that stick painted there. There we go. Okay, so once it's painted, and you also can use your sponge brush if that's easier for you. So then what I do is I mix the darker blue, like I said, with the white, or actually you're going to use just the darker blue on the bottom. I have a little bit different blue, so here you go. So you're just going to take and you're going to do the bottoms, and you're just going to kind of bring that up. Just so you don't want a really wet brush. You kind of want a dry brush. A lot of times I'll just wipe my brush off on a paper towel or on this table. And I'm going to bring that blue up and kind of fade it in a little bit, like that. And then I'm going to just kind of, with a wet brush, I'm just sort of pulling that down from the light to the dark. And don't feel bad, I use my fingers a lot to blend. They work really well. And get that wet on the top, and I'm just going to go like that. And that is how I'm going to blend it. If you rather do 3 different shades, you can do it that way, whichever's easiest for you. I've done it every way there is, trying to figure out an easier way or a better way, and there doesn't seem to be any. Other than the template, which has really helped make great art. The rest of it, I haven't figured out an easier way to do it. But so that is how we're going to do those bottoms. So again, we're just going to start at the bottom, and I like to keep wetting my brush a little bit so it's not too dark and thick. And then I'm going to keep my brush pretty dry, especially while I get up near the top of that, to fade it in so that I don't get a distinct line. Some people might like a distinct line. Then I'm going to use my finger, dip it in a little water, and I'm going to blend those 2 together with my finger. And as you can see, they blend pretty well like that. And you can always go back in and fix anything you don't love, paint over it. That's how I like to do this ombre look. Like I said, it's up to you how you want to do it. Just fade it in. There you go. And so you're going to do that to all your sticks until they're done. And make sure you're lining them up with your form so that you end up painting in the right spot. Of course, you can sand off anything you don't like. So there you go. Lots of work to do today. Hey there. Today we are, yikes, measuring our string because we have sanded and painted our hearts, and now we're going to measure out our string. I said in the directions about 18 inches, and I would say about like this, like roughly. So the easiest way to do that is to just keep going like this and do that. You're going to need 17 pieces. So just keep doing that until you have gotten about 17 pieces. And then once you do, you can just cut them. And it might help if I have scissors. Okay, so once you have a bunch of them, or you don't have to go all 17, but you can cut when you want, then I just cut them, boop, like that, and cut them down here. There we go. Let's see, there's some strings somewhere. Okay, so you want to cut it up so you have 17 of those babies. You know, you don't even have to really measure if you don't want to, but you want to cut them all out, and that is what you're going to do to get ready to tie them onto your branch. Okay, if you have your strings cut, then you're going to start grabbing your branches one by one and thread your string through. This is actually lamb's wool string, which is really interesting. I've never seen that before, but they had it at the Hobby Lobby, and I thought, well, that's pretty. I tied a knot in it, and I was like, that looks pretty good. I think that'll work well for you guys. And so you just want to tie a knot above each branch, enough so that it can hang. You don't want it to be tight so it hangs too much. And don't trim the extra off right now, just in case we have to move it when we're done. So you're going to tie all your strings onto your branches like that. All right, so once you have all your sticks tied with the string, then you are going to find in your kit some beads. Did you get beads? Yep, so you're going to take those little beads, and we're not going to actually tie them on there yet, which I almost had you tie it. So good I didn't. We'll get them ready. So then what you're going to do is you are going to thread these through the holes in your branch. You're going to want to make sure your branch is hanging so it's going to be flat on one side, and so you wouldn't want it to be this way. So it will go that way. So you're going to take and you're going to thread these through those holes, and you can get them all through the holes, boop, like that. And then eventually, so we'll get them all like that, and we'll line them up on our template here. And then once you get them all lined up through the holes, you're going to take these little beads, these little teeny beads, and this is going to keep the knot from sliding through the holes. So you're going to thread the little beads onto that, and then eventually we're going to end up tying a knot right where the bead is. So it's not going to it's not going to pull through. Sometimes what Sarah likes to do is she takes a Sharpie or something, and she marks on the string a little dot so she knows that's where the knot should end up. I tend to tie them and then realize I need to adjust them all and undo the knots, which is really a pain in the buns. So it's a lot easier if you just could mark the string and then tie the knot right on top of the bead where the string is. But you want to make sure they're lined up with your template before you tie the knot. Okay?